Hello everyone, and thanks for enrolling in my digital painting course. Here I'll show you how I created this grayscale image and speed up your process in this Photoshop tutorial. But the obvious question first is, why should anyone paint from grayscale when that person can start painting directly from the color? The color will, at least in my mind, when I'm beginning the work, make complications, and so, to remove these complications and focus on composition, light and dark values, and so on, I start working in black and white. This black and white drawing gives you better understanding of values and show you how the bright and dark values relate to each other to create illusion of form and shape. And remember, this is not a linear process, and that there is a lot of experimenting going on to produce the effect that you would like to have. And I will show you the basics to speed that process up in your painting. But before all that, I have to mention that when you want to colorize your grayscale image, try to do it when you finish this grayscale image about to 60 or 70%. Don't go all the way to 100% finished grayscale image, and we'll talk why that would be good in the later lessons. Now let's start with the grayscale image. Here I have ticked off all the layers that I've done painting in Photoshop and making the grayscale image. I start with the line work. That is now at some 69%, and I'll talk about it soon enough. So when I'm working in Photoshop, I like to use some kind of a chalky brush. I have a lot of them, but for the basics, I like to use chalk brush whenever I'm drawing and put it about 80% opacity. You can change the opacity by clicking the number of keys on your keyboard, and you can add colors. Pick some dark tone, doesn't have to be completely black, and start adding lines. When you finish with your line work, I like to make another layer beneath that one that is called the flats, and it's because it has only the flat colors that are 100% opacity. So we have the base for our work. So we have the line work and our flat colors. Next up are the shadows. I like to use multiply blending method. You can find it here when you're working with shadows. All you have to do is select one color you like to use for that area. Make the opacity about 10, 20, or 30, depending on what you would like, by clicking the numbers keys on your keyboard, and add slight effects like this and lines. Change them like you see here. It's the normal brush that I would recommend you to use. After that, we go on to painting the light areas. For light areas, I like to use screen blend method and use the same approach. Use chalky brush or whatever brush that you would prefer. Maybe some that has like this softness or hardness that is low, and add with 10, 30. It is important to build in slowly and nicely to add those highlights. Not go too abruptly, or you may lose a thing or two which you wouldn't like. Okay, so now that we have our lights and shadows, our flat layers and line work, the thing that I would like to do when I have that, remove the background since we won't be needing it, and use a little long keyboard shortcut that goes Shift Ctrl Control E. And what will that make? It will make a layer on top of all the other layers together. So that's why I didn't want to use the background, because I was planning on making some other things on the background, so I wouldn't have to use the entire figure. It's this one layer here. That was just an example how I created this layer. And when you have that layer, we can, like you see, I added some changes to the eyes, and I also lowered the line work that was 100 to some 69% or something like that, so it wouldn't be that visible. Also, I've seen that the eyes were not so great, so I changed them. Next up, we have the shadows. Right here I decided that the face was too wide, so I narrowed it a bit. Added another layer on normal blend mode, and added additional shadows. And finally, some very soft and subtle light effects on her face. And after that is done, on a separate layer, I made some wigwags and some textures, adding some shapes in the background so it can fit right into this image. Next up, we will see how to use adjustment layers and gradient maps, but that will be in the next video, so see you there.